Good morning, everybody. Today we'll be talking about the Florida Department.
So on the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's website, or DEP as they like to call themselves, it has this statement: the Florida Department of Environmental Protection is the state's lead agency for environmental management and stewardship, protecting our air, water, and land. DEP is divided into three primary areas: land and recreation, which can be summed up as taking care of most of, if not all of, the natural land in Florida, and furthermore, our enjoyment of that land. And secondly, regulatory. This can be summed up as making sure companies don't dump all their waste into the ocean or yada yada stuff like that. Making sure we don't abuse the environment, but rather keep it safe.
Which, who can complain about that?
And lastly, there's the ecosystems restoration, which can be summed up as taking parts of the wild terrain which have already been diminished in some way and restoring them to their natural beauty. Now on the website LinkedIn, they give another little snippet about themselves, and which I will now read. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection, DEP, focuses on creating strong community partnerships, safeguarding Florida's natural resources, and enhancing its ecosystems. DEP staff, including biologists, chemists, attorneys, engineers, park rangers, geologists, law enforcement, and administrative staff, work daily to protect Florida's air, water, and lands. This includes overseeing and implementing dozens of regulatory, resource management, and restoration programs. DEP also manages 175 state parks, trails, and historic sites, as well as 45 coastal and aquatic areas, which provide world-class recreational opportunities to Floridians and visitors. So to sum up all that, they are focused on creating communities around the natural resources they deal in and safeguarding the natural resources while furthermore enhancing people's experience of those ecosystems. And this is all done through regulations, programs, and management.
So that pretty much sums them up there. But now, moving on to Wikipedia, after giving a brief summary of the department's history, in which it states that it was actually multiple different departments that were kind of coagulated into a single larger department, it goes on to state
that the responsibilities for the state's natural environment is its main goal, but the department is divided into three areas. The regulatory agency, which again we can kind of sum up as making sure companies don't just throw all their waste in the ocean or pollute natural lands for their own convenience,
thereby killing baby seals, or worse, creating something like this.
and secondly, it manages more than 10,000 acres, or is that a square root, of state lands, including Florida state parks and recreation areas, greenway trails, and yada yada yada. I'm not going to make you read all that. And just to give you an idea of exactly how much this is, here's a map of all the state parks in Florida, which, as you can see, is a lot of land for one department to be taken care of. And finally, the planning agency. It surveys the state's geological resources and oversees the management of water resources by the Water Management District, controls invasive species, particularly aquatic plants, monitors the environmental quality of the state, and oversees the reclamation of mined lands.
So that's pretty much making sure Florida doesn't turn into a giant concrete jungle, which, one, that would really stink for the swamp puppies, and two, a giant sandbar is just not a good place to build your metropolis.
And finally, Wikipedia mentions Everglades restoration twice and global warming, which I got nothing against Everglades restoration. That sounds great, but I mean, finally, Wikipedia mentions that in 2006, The department split into 13 different offices, which I won't make you read, but to sum it up, it's again mentions the air, the land, the water, the different parts of the land, the offices, the law enforcement, the waste management, the resource management, and sitting, which, I mean, I don't know what you would do in the sitting department, but
And that's the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. I hope you learned something, and see you next time. What's it called? Department. That's what I was trying to say.